Welcome back, everybody. Today we're getting into the DDI Puma Bullpup shotgun. So this is a pretty cool little gun. As far as I know, there's only been one review that I've really seen out there on it, and we're going to make it number 2 here. So some cool things going on. First off, we have 5-round magazines, detachable box-fed magazines, so for a total capacity of 6+1. This is based on a Chinese military shotgun. So that shotgun has been in service for quite a while now. So it sort of is a, I guess you could say, a proven design. But one thing about it that we're going to show you in a little bit more detail here in just a second is that being a military design shotgun, it's designed for high power loads. So from what I've read out there on the internet, generally speaking, if you got like an ounce load of whatever buckshot, slug, even birdshot, if it's heavy birdshot, and it's going anywhere from 1250, 1300, 1350 feet per second or higher, the gun will run reliably with it. So we're going to do a test here outside real quick and just kind of show you what that actually looks like in real life and how it actually performs, at least with my sample size of 1 here. And then we're going to come back in and show you the details of the gun, different quirks about it, and then at the end we'll wrap it up with what I think about it. One thing I know a lot of people are going to want to know is how does it work with different loads. So this is primarily designed as a defensive shotgun. So let's get that out of the way. It's not designed to run birdshot or anything like that. It's designed to run buckshot, slugs, things like that. So what we're going to do here is show you at least what I found with it anyway. So there are 2 different settings for it. Come near the camera. Hopefully you guys can see that. Right now, when this gas plug is set all the way to the right like that, it is on the most open setting. To change it, all you do is push in. I can do it here on camera. Push in. And turn. It doesn't help that my hands are frozen, and that's on the sort of low setting for the gas. So we're gonna push it back out. And what we have in the mag right now is just some cheap birdshot. So low brass stuff, it's not designed to run it. We have it on the open setting, which is of course gonna give you the best shot. We're gonna see what it does. I'm guessing it won't run it, just from what I've seen with it so far. Okay, didn't eject. Same thing, didn't eject. We'll run through the mag just for fun. Kind of ejected a little bit on that, at least it started to. Same thing. And the last one. Same thing. So some folks will say, like, you need to have a, the gun needs to be broken in or something like that. Well, this gun's got about 200 rounds of buckshot and slugs through it. So it's about broken in. So let's take that mag out. And then we got one here. And this is going to be the Federal number 4 buckshot. So as you guys who have watched the channel for a long time, you know I am a huge fan of buckshot, particularly number 1 and number 4 for defensive use. We got it loaded up, and what I'm going to do now is switch the gas setting, because right now it's on the high setting. Switch it over. It's freezing out here right now, to the low setting. So it should still run it just fine from everything I've seen with that, but we will shoot it and see for sure. And there you go. Locks the bolt back and operates as it should. So far with buck or slugs, I've had 0 malfunctions of any kind. It's worked flawlessly. Of course, with the birdshot, we've only had a couple times that it's worked. But I was just testing that just to see, because I know I watched the Military Arms channel and Tim's ran with everything, and I was like, wow, that's cool. And then when I got mine in, it didn't. So, but it's not like a flaw in the gun. Again, like I was saying, it's designed to run the defensive stuff. For the details, we'll work our way from back to front just for some semblance of order, and we do have a nice thick rubber butt pad here on the back. It does help absorb some of that recoil. Throughout the video, I was shooting mostly Magnum buckshot loads, and I didn't have any soreness or anything like that, even though you could certainly feel the power of the loads. We do have a rear sling attachment point here on the left side of the rifle, or the shotgun I should say. There's also one up front by the gas adjustment settings that we'll get to in just a second. Here's our safety. Now this is sort of like one of the downsides of the shotgun in my opinion. It's not marked in any sort of way, so you just sort of have to know that the 1 setting here is fire and the 0 setting here is safe. I kind of think, you know, they should be red or white or marked fire or safe or something like that, but it certainly is not. So it's just sort of something you'll have to deal with there. Around the mag well, we have a lot of different things going on. This is actually our bolt release. So traditionally you would think that this would be how you'd release the mag, but it isn't so. The mag release is actually ambidextrous. So on the left side of the shotgun, we have this little piece right here, and you just hit it and your mag will come out like that. And then on the right side, we have this little button right here that you can depress and your mag will come out. While we're on that subject, the magazines here are very well made. They have a nice blued finish to them. And you can see there's steel reinforcements and good spot welds up and down the magazine. One thing to point out is that some loads just aren't going to work right in this magazine. Now it's chambered for 2 3/4 inch loads. There's a couple that did not fit in the magazine. They were just a touch, you know, millimeter or 2 off. It wouldn't actually go in that I had. They were a State and S&B double-aught buckshot loads. Neither one of those would actually work, but any of the US stuff that we use, so the Federal that we used throughout the video, and then also I put a couple of Remington buckshot loads in there, and they loaded up just fine. The pistol grip is not interchangeable, so if you don't like the way this one feels, you're kind of stuck with it. However, it to my hand is very comfortable, and I didn't have any sort of issue with it. The cutout here in the back lets you get nice and high up on there, and then the handguard here actually has a couple different features going on. So some people will want to use it sort of like a PS90 or a Tavor, where you actually pull in with your offhand here. Of course, you can use it traditional, you know, handguard hold as well. So whichever one you prefer is up to you. One thing I want to point out on the handguard is that on both the right and left side, you see these little threaded, I guess they're heel coils that are in there built into the actual polymer, and those are for rails that will be coming later on. From what I understand, they're not in now. You can't buy them, at least not that I saw, but apparently they will be coming into the country, and as you can see, they're on both sides of the shotgun. So one thing that we need to talk about as well is the trigger. With any Bullpup, you're going to have some sort of linkage. On this one, it's kind of interesting because it's like doesn't have a hammer here in the back like most of them would, like a trigger pack. It's actually a striker fired gun. So when you pull it, there's definitely the typical transfer bar slop in there, but there's also a sort of a weird break, and that, put it on fire actually, huh? That would help. You can see you kind of get all the way to here, and now the linkage or the striker starts to kick in. And there you go. So it's certainly nothing to write home about, but for a shotgun, we were certainly able to hit where we're aiming at, out to 150 yards. So I guess it does the job. From the factory, the charging handle comes on the left side of the gun, and it is swappable. So if you want to put it over to the right side, you certainly can. It has a nice grip texture there. One thing I want to point out is that if you're running optics, one thing you want to do is kind of ensure that you don't have any large knobs or anything that's sticking out, because when you run that charging handle, you can definitely bust your knuckle up on it a little bit. So either something that's kind of got a slim mount to it, or if you want, just mount it back here towards the rear of the receiver, which actually will also help you with balance, but it'll also prevent your knuckles from being busted. So it doesn't come with any sights, but any sort of height sights, or AR height sights, I should say, will work just fine on there, and that certainly is one of the advantages of it. So you can put, you know, your Magpul embusses on there, or any red dot, or even a scope that has the standard AR height, and you'll have a perfect cheek weld, which certainly we had throughout the video, and it was certainly nice that you didn't have to have a chin weld like you have to with a lot of shotguns out there on the market. We talked about the gas settings earlier, and it's pretty simple design. It's a 2-setting system, so low and high gas. And when running buckshot or the slugs that we ran throughout the video, I've had it on low and have had no issues with it at all. And to change it, you're just going to kind of push this piece forward. You can see it's kind of on a hinge, and then rotate. So that would be on the high gas setting, and you can rotate it right back. The barrel is a chrome line barrel, so if you guys want to shoot steel shot in there, it's absolutely no problem. And I should also point out that this is the front sling swivel that we mentioned earlier in the video, but it does not have any internal chokes, so it comes as a cylinder bore. But if you guys are familiar with Segas, it will take any of the, over the barrel chokes that you want to add on there. You can also add on brakes or flash hiders or anything like that. You just got to twist this muzzle nut off and put on whatever you like. Disassembly here is pretty simple, so we really just need to take this pin out, and the rest of it is sort of optional for field maintenance. So it's a captured pin, which is nice, so if you just need to clean it in the field, certainly you can do so. Let me bang this with a hammer here real quick. Get that started. I've only actually taken it apart once, I should say. That was when I initially got it, and that's to clean and lubricate it, and then hasn't been taken apart since. And as you can see there, it's under spring tension. So this is the top cover. You can kind of see how all that's pretty hollow. And we have our ejection port as well. We have this little piece here that rides in the recoil spring, which is guiding it and sliding back and forth here on the rails. And take that out. And we'll pull this back. You have to pull your charging handle out, which I believe it comes out right here. Yep, it does. And again, when you're reassembling, if you want to reassemble that on the right-hand side, you can. And then we'll take our bolt and carrier out. I should note, rather, that this is a cold hammer forged bolt and carrier. You can kind of see how they go in there. We're starting to wear the finish down, which is certainly a good sign of wear. You can see it does spring back and forth. And it's got a gigantic claw in there to rip those 12 gauge shells out and really throw them out. So that's really as far as you need to take the back end out for maintenance. Now, to take the little gas system out, you're just going to turn it to, I believe, 90 degrees here. And it should pop out. Maybe it's 90 degrees the other way. Hold on. There you go, that way. And it's always easier when you're not working under a camera, but there's the plug. And there's your piston. It comes out, you can see the piston is not symmetrical, so you need to make sure you put it in that way when it comes out. And one thing I want to point out here is I was actually looking at a lot of the forums. Now this gun is very popular up in Canada, like we mentioned earlier. It's a little bit different, but very, very similar. Just 922R compliance parts are really what's changed. And what a lot of them are doing to get it to cycle the low brass stuff was actually drilling this hole here a little bit bigger for the low gas setting. They're leaving this as is for the high stuff, and then opening that up a little bit, letting a little bit more gas come in on the low setting, and that way they're able to cycle the practice stuff and get a little bit cheaper practice in. But that's really it. That's how you disassemble it, and the reassembly is just in reverse order. Those are the details of the shotgun, at least the ones that I know anyway. So far with this particular one, we have just over 300 rounds through it. 100% of them, with the exception of maybe 10 rounds of birdshot, 5 that you guys saw earlier and 5 I shot off camera, have been federal. Number 4 Magnum buckshot, or the 1-inch slugs that we were firing out there at distance. It's fed every single one of them reliably. Not a single issue with full power loads that we put through it. Definitely thank you to Federal for sending those out to use during this review. But on that regard, you certainly can't complain about it. But if you guys want to shoot those light loads, like I said, the folks in Canada drill them out. I'm not sure if that's recommended or not, and if you guys do, it probably voids the warranty. Just a heads up on that. So speaking of purchasing one, I looked around today and I didn't see any actual in stock, but the out of stock places, so the folks that carry it, that I actually saw were Atlantic Firearms, Copper Custom, I believe, as well as AGS Armament. So those are the 3 places I saw it, and it was going for right around $1,000 on most of those sites. So it's not cheap, but of course we have some advantages. Number 1 is a bullpup. So for a home defense or CQB type situation, you get the full length barrel without having to go through a short barrel shotgun and all the NFA nonsense that goes with it. So that's good. 6+1 capacity. They do say again that they're coming out with aftermarket rails for mounting lights and lasers and all that sort of jazz. Maybe even vertical foregrip. AR height sights, that's very good. So really your options for optics are virtually unlimited. Irons or magnified optics or red dots or anything like that. There certainly are some quirks to it though. I'm a right-handed shooter, but the way the ejection pattern looked, if you guys were looking at that, if you were firing that from your left shoulder, you're definitely getting hit with it in the face. So that's not really good. The other thing that sort of is odd, both for right and left-handed shooters, is the safety location. So with it being located right here on the rear, actuating it, you kind of have to either run it cruiser ready and then rack around in when you want to, or just definitely practice turning that safety off if you're going to keep it in a loaded one in the chamber type configuration. So that's pretty much it. I think we covered most of the details there. If you guys have any questions about the shotgun or anything like that, by all means, you can post down below in the comment section. You can also post over at my Facebook page as always. But thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing, and we'll see you in the next video.